There is a fun little trap that nobody warns you about when you get a chronic illness diagnosis. You get sick. Being sick is stressful. Stress makes inflammation worse. Inflammation makes you sicker. The stress of being sicker makes everything worse. Congratulations. You've unlocked the anxiety loop. Achievement unlocked. 0 stars. Do not recommend. And here's the thing that makes it particularly exhausting. You often can't tell anyone which came first. Is your body reacting to stress, or is stress a symptom of what your body is doing? After a while, it doesn't matter. It's all the same spiral. I spent a long time thinking this was just the psychological weight of being chronically ill. Like, of course I'm anxious. I have a disease that's unpredictable and incurable and requires constant management. That's a lot. And yes, that's real, but what I eventually learned is that there is also a psychological explanation for why the loop keeps spinning. And it's not just in your head, it's in your cells. What I wish someone had told me earlier is that there's a mineral sitting quietly in the middle of this entire cycle, and it's magnesium. Again, this mineral really gets around. Magnesium is a natural calcium antagonist in the nervous system. What that means in plain language is that it competes with calcium and certain receptor sites. And one of the most important ones is the NMDA receptor. NMDA stands for N-methyl-D-aspartate. You don't need to memorize that. What you need to know is that it's a glutamate receptor. And glutamate is the main excitatory neurotransmitter in your brain. It drives activity, arousal, alertness. Glutamate itself is not a villain. You need it. But when the NMDA receptor is overactivated, your nervous system essentially gets stuck in overdrive. Anxiety, hypervigilance, racing thoughts at 3 a.m. about something you said back in 2014. Magnesium acts like the bouncer at the door of that receptor. It sits in the channel and blocks excessive activation. When magnesium is adequate, the system is regulated. When you're deficient, the bouncer goes home and glutamate does what it wants. This is not fringe science. This mechanism is well documented in the neuroscience literature, and it's actually one of the reasons magnesium is being studied in the context of neuroprotection and even conditions like PTSD. Research consistently shows that lower dietary magnesium is associated with higher rates of depression and anxiety in population studies. In a 2017 randomized clinical trial by Tarleton and colleagues found that magnesium supplementation significantly improves both depression and anxiety symptoms within 6 weeks. 6 weeks. For a supplement, that's actually remarkable and honestly kind of frustrating that it isn't more widely discussed. Okay, here's the part that is the almost poetic in how cruel it is. Stress causes your body to release cortisol. That's normal. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. It serves a real function. It gets you through acute threats. The problem is what it does downstream. Cortisol increases urinary excretion of magnesium. Your kidneys, under the influence of cortisol, start flushing magnesium out. So the more stressed you are, the more magnesium you lose. And lower magnesium makes your nervous system more reactive to stress. Because the NMDA bouncer is understaffed, which raises cortisol, which depletes more magnesium, and the loop continues. Now layer chronic illness on top of that when you're managing an autoimmune condition or any long-term health challenge. Stress is not a one-time event. It's ambient. It's the background radiation of your life. The daily medication management, the flare-up uncertainty. The doctor's appointments where you feel dismissed, the explaining yourself to people who don't understand, the energy calculations you make every single morning before you even get out of bed. The body doesn't distinguish between stress from a predator and stress from trying to get your insurance company to approve medication you've been on for 3 years. Same biochemistry, same cortisol spike, same magnesium depletion. What this means in practice is that people living with chronic conditions may be burning through magnesium at a genuinely accelerated rate, not because of diet necessarily, but because of psychological cost of sustained stress. This is why a standard blood test often misses it. Serum magnesium stays relatively stable even when the intracellular levels are dropping, because your body borrows from tissues and bones to maintain blood levels. You can be functionally depleted long before any lab test flags it. I want to spend some real time on sleep, because I know a lot of us in the autoimmune and chronic illness community are genuinely not sleeping well. It's not one thing. It's chronic pain interrupting sleep. It's medications that affect sleep architecture. It's nighttime symptom flares. It's the anxiety we just talked about, making it impossible to quiet your brain at the end of the day. Sleep deprivation, by the way, also raises cortisol, so it feeds right back into the loop we just described. Magnesium plays several key roles in sleep regulation. The two most important neurotransmitter connections are melatonin and GABA. Melatonin, you probably know, it's the hormone that signals your body that it's time to sleep. What's less commonly known is that magnesium is involved in the enzymatic pathway that converts serotonin to melatonin. Low magnesium can impair that conversion. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. It is essentially your brain's "okay, we're done for the day" signal. When GABA activity is low, you cannot switch off. Thoughts keep cycling. The background noise won't quiet. Magnesium helps activate and potentiate GABA receptors. It literally helps your brain stop talking to itself for long enough to fall asleep. In terms of forms, and this matters for sleep specifically, magnesium glycinate and magnesium threonate are the two most studied for neurological applications. Glycinate is magnesium-bound glycine, which itself is a calming amino acid with its own evidence for improving sleep quality. It's a 2-for-1 in that sense. It's also gentle on digestion, which matters for a lot of us who are already managing GI issues. Threonate is the newer one. It's the only form that has been specifically shown to meaningfully cross the blood-brain barrier and raise brain magnesium levels directly. The research on it is early stage than glycinate, but what exists is genuinely interesting, particularly for sleep architecture, cognitive function, and neuroplasticity. Let me give you a practical picture, and then I want to zoom out and say something a little bigger. If anxiety, sleep disruption, and stress are your primary concerns, magnesium glycinate is the form I'd point toward first. It's the most studied for these applications, widely available, cost-effective, and the glycine component adds benefits. Start there. If you're specifically interested in the cognitive function, brain health, or you've been reading about neurological applications, magnesium threonate is worth researching further. It's more expensive, but the mechanism is compelling. Magnesium malate tends to be favored for energy production and muscle function. There's some use in the fibromyalgia community in particular. And oxide, which you'll see a lot of in cheap supplements, lowest bioavailability. If you're taking it and it's not doing anything, that might be why. On dosing, that conversation belongs with your doctor, full stop. What I can tell you is that many integrative practitioners use 300 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium per day as a working starter for adults. The NIH sets the tolerable upper intake level for supplemental magnesium at 350 milligrams for most adults. Above that, GI side effects like loose stool are the main risk, which is actually how you find your threshold if you're titrating up. One important note, magnesium can interact with certain medications, antibiotics, diuretics, proton pump inhibitors, some heart medications. If you're on any of those, definitely check with your prescriber before adding a supplement. I want to zoom out for a second because I think supplementation sometimes becomes the whole conversation, and it shouldn't be. Diet matters. Dark leafy greens, spinach, chard, kale are among the highest food sources of magnesium. So are pumpkin seeds, almonds, black beans, avocado, dark chocolate, if you want a reason to eat dark chocolate. The case for getting magnesium from food first is real. It comes with cofactors, it's absorbed differently, and it signals to your body in a way that isolated supplements don't fully replicate. The challenge is that modern food supply magnesium content has declined significantly over the past several decades due to soil depletion. So even people eating what looks like a nutritious diet may not be getting the magnesium their grandparents got from the same foods. That's not catastrophizing, it's just an agricultural reality. And it's part of why researchers are paying more attention to population level deficiency. Lifestyle factors are also affect magnesium levels. Alcohol consumption, higher sugar diets, and intense physical exercise can all accelerate depletion. Stress, as we covered, and certain medications, particular PPIs, some diuretics, and long-term corticosteroids, which many of us in the autoimmune world have experience with, are known to deplete magnesium over time. The broader point I keep coming back to, and this may be a little Buddhist, which is you can take it or leave it, is that you cannot separate the mind from the body. Western medicine often tries to. Mental health goes to the psychiatrist, inflammation goes to the rheumatologist, sleep goes to nobody, usually until you push hard enough. But when we're managing chronic illness, these symptoms are in constant conversation. What calms your nervous system supports your immune regulation. What depletes your mineral affects your mood, your sleep, your stress response, and your inflammation. It's not either or, it's all one system. So that concludes our second episode on magnesium. I'm Kevin, and I'm genuinely grateful that you joined me here at Battle Within Autoimmune Life. Please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It truly helps the channel reach more people in the community. If something in this conversation landed for you, share it with someone else who might need to hear it today. I'll see you in the next one. Rest well.